This website used to look like a personal developer portfolio, which was fine if I was only trying to say, "Hi, I'm MK, I know how to code." But that's not what LWM Studios is about anymore. The studio I'm trying to build is the one that creates games, houses 3D art pipelines, develops web applications, and most importantly, build digital worlds in public. So I needed the website to stop saying "I'm learning" and start saying "we ship real work," right? So in this video, I'm going to break down how I redesigned the LWM Studio website from scratch, why the old version wasn't working anymore, what I changed, and what the final version looks like now. So no fluff, just the actual design thinking, the Angular build, and the decision that made the site finally feel like a proper creative technology studio. The first problem was simple. The old website worked. Okay. So the first problem was simple. The old website worked technically, but it did not communicate the right thing. It felt like a personal dev portfolio. The type of site. These are my projects, these are my skills, this is who I am, here's my GitHub, this is how you can reach me, please hire me. And to be honest, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But the studio is not supposed to be just a portfolio, it's supposed to be an identity, the studio's identity, in fact. The old version had too much learn with me energy. And again, learning in public is still part of the brand, and I'm not pretending to be some massive studio with over 200 employees and a glass office on some penthouse. But there's a difference between "I'm learning, please watch me figure it out," and "I am building real things and you can actually follow the process." The second one is the direction that I wanted. So the redesign goal was just not Oh my god. Okay, wait. This website used to look like a personal developer portfolio, right? And which is fine. This website used to look like a personal developer portfolio, and this is fine, of course, if I was only trying to say, "Hi, I'm MK, I know how to code," right? But that's not what the studio is about anymore. LWM Studios is where I am building games, 3D art pipelines, web applications, and digital worlds in public. So the website needed to stop saying "I'm learning" and start saying "we ship real work." In this video, I'm going to break down how I redesigned the studio website from scratch, why the old version wasn't working, what I changed, and what the final version looks like now. So in the usual fashion, no fluff, just the casual design thinking, the Angular build, the decisions that made the site finally feel like a proper creative tech studio. So the first problem was simple. Stop recording. Okay. So the first problem was simple. The website works technically, but it does not communicate the right thing, right? So it kind of feels like a okay. It kind of feels like a dev portfolio. You know, the type of site. Here are my skills. Here are my projects. Here's my GitHub profile. Please hire me. Reach out if you need me to do some work for you, right? But the studio is not supposed to be just a portfolio. The website is supposed to be the studio's identity, more like a digital ID, right? So this version has too much learn with me energy. And again, learning in public is still part of the brand. However, I am not pretending to be some massive studio with over 200 employees and a glass office on some penthouse, right? The difference now is, yes, I'm learning, or yes, I'm learning to build something. Please watch me figure it out. However, I want to transition from learning to actually building real things, and you can actually follow the process. The second one is the direction I wanted to head at, right? So the redesign goal was just not make the site prettier. The goal was positioning. And I wanted the website to immediately communicate that the studio builds digital worlds, builds games, builds 3D pipelines, web tools, not someday, but now. And that's why the hero section became "We Build Digital Worlds," because that line does more work than a generic welcome to my portfolio ever could. So before touching the code, I needed to define what the redesign was actually supposed to do, because this is where a lot of developers mess up, right? And when you open Visual Studio Code too early, we start changing colors, moving divs around, adding animations, and then 3 hours later find out that we've technically worked hard, but the site had or still has no direction. So I gave the design a few clear goals. The first goal was make the site feel like a professional studio, but professional enough that when someone lands on it, they understand that the studio is serious. The second goal was to show the tech stack fully and visually, right? Because the studio sits across multiple areas. So this is your Unreal Engine, this is your UEFN or Fortnite Creative, Blender 3D, Angular, Node.js, as well as Microsoft Azure. Right. And to be honest, it's a strange combination if you don't frame it properly. But when you frame it as a creative studio, it starts to make sense. Right? That's why I added the animated scrolling tip strict, which is this guy over here. And it's not just the decoration, to be honest. It tells people very quickly what world the studio lives in. Right? The third goal was to remove the learn with me energy and replace it with we ship real work energy. And that meant using stronger language, which is a less apologetic copy, right? And of course, cleaner sections and more confidence, because we want to show that we are confident that the studio is building real things, right? Things that can be used in the real world. So The fourth goal was to make the website content easier to expand, because this site can't just be a landing page forever. It needs to support future projects, client work, studio experiments, blog posts, build logs, case studies, and whatever creative idea that the studio wants to embark on. So the idea was to make the structure more scalable. So that's where, under the work tab, I added filters to toggle what the current studio is busy working on, what client work is currently available, and make these components reusable in such a way that I don't have to spend a lot of hours just adding content, rewriting, and connecting the content and make it make sense to the user, right? So for the stack, I decided to keep it clean. The site is built with Angular 21 using standalone components. I decided using the on-push change detection, signals for state, SCSS with CSS variables, and no third-party libraries. Well, these guys might not qualify as third-party, but hey. The last part was important to me. No component library, no pre-built design systems. So the idea was to not install this UI kit and call it a day. I wanted to build a visual language for myself. So not because third-party libraries are bad, but because for this project, the design identity matters. If I used a generic UI library, this site can and easily start looking like every other SaaS dashboard or any other startup template, and that's what I wanted to avoid, right? And so I used CSS variables for theme. I decided on a dark background. I mean, I still managed to keep both, the aesthetic looking the same. However, I just decided to go with this theme, clean accents, muted text, so it can translate easily to the redesign as well. So border colors, card backgrounds, small details like cover states, as you can see over there, and section spacing, right? Beautiful. The goal is to create something that feels technical, creative, slightly cinematic, without becoming too busy. Because there is a trap with dark tech website. You can easily overdo it. Too many glows, too many gradients. You can have too much motion use and too much cyber hacker dashboards. Right? So I wanted the site to feel modern. I wanted the site to feel confident, not like I was trying to sell a fake AI crypto platform. So the stack stayed simple enough, but the design decisions carry the weight. The hero section for me was the most important part of the redesign, because that is the first thing that people see, and the old version did not position the studio strong enough, right? So I decided to change the hero message from learn with Mkay to we build digital worlds. And to be honest, this line gives the site a stronger identity immediately. It connects the different parts of the studio, which is games, virtual environments, 3D art, web experiences, tools, and not necessarily interactive systems, but I wanted the goal to be that that can be the focus too. So instead of saying I do Angular, Blender, Unreal, Java, Azure, the hero section says what all those tools are for, which is building digital worlds, building digital environments. So and that's the difference, right, between listing tools and communicating the vision. The subtext then supports what the positioning by explaining the studio's focus, which is Unreal Engine, UEFN, Blender, pipelines, and web applications. So the structure is big at first, then practical explanations, then a call to action. And for me, that order matters. Because if you lead with the tools, people have to figure out the meaning for themselves. However, if you lead with the outcome, the tools become the proof, right? So one of my favorite additions is the animated scrolling text strip. The strip includes the Unreal Engine 5, UEFN, Blender, Angular, Azure, SCSS, game design, 3D modeling, and yes, it is a small feature, but visually it does a lot. It gives the page some motion. It reinforces the studio stack, and it gives the site a feel. It makes the site feel more alive without overwhelming the user. And the important thing here was restraint. I didn't want random animations just for the sake of animations. The strip has a purpose. It says this is the ecosystem we build in. Right. From a technical side, it's just CSS doing the heavy lifting, a scrolling tick, repeated items, using a control speed, and styling that fits the theme. Nothing complicated, but that's also the point. A good design is not always about complex implementation. Sometimes it's about putting a simple feature in the right place so it supports the message. Okay. The next thing I added was the project filter tabs. The tabs are there to show all the work, to filter through the studio work as well as the client work, commissions for people in the art world. This gives the site a cleaner way to separate the different types of work the studio does, because not every project has the same purpose. Some projects, I needed a way to communicate that some projects are internal studio experiments and some are built in public projects, right? So you could eventually be client-facing work as well. So instead of throwing everything into one long grid and hoping people understand it, the filter gives it structure. And this is where Angular signals were useful. The selected filter becomes the state. The project list reacts to that state, and the UI updates cleanly. I mean, look at that. Look at that. You can scroll down, you can go up. Client work, all work. Nice. So no heavy state engineering or state management. Just a simple interaction that makes the website feel more polished. The bigger lesson here is that filtering is not just a technical feature, it's a storytelling feature. It helps the visitor understand how the studio works and how the studio thinks, right? It helps the visitor understand that this is what I can get from this studio. The capabilities section was another important part of the redesign. This section explains what the studio actually does, not as a random skills list, but as studio capabilities. For me, that wording mattered. A skill says, I know this tool. However, capability says this is what we can produce. So instead of making the website feel like a CV, I wanted it to feel like a studio service map. The capabilities section covers the main areas, which is game development, interactive worlds, 3D art, Blender pipelines, web tools and application, cloud deployments, and technical system. I decided to go with the SVG icons because they are lightweight, scalable, and easy to style with the rest of the design. Again, no third-party UI library, just custom structure, custom styling, and components that match the identity of the website. And this is one of those sections that looks simple but does a lot strategically. Because when someone lands on the site, they shouldn't have to guess what LWM Studio does. The capabilities section needs to make it clear on the offset. So now we go to the blog section. So the compared to before, the blog section. Okay, let me just move this down a bit. Okay. The blog layout was one of the biggest upgrades. If I can just move to the side like that, maybe you can see what it looks like. But yeah, the blog layout was one of the biggest upgrades. Before, the content sort of felt more like a normal website section. However, for the redesign, I decided that the blog post needed to feel more editorial, give it more of like a magazine, newspaper feel. So give it more a feel of articles, full width layout, better spacing, clear reading flow, so that it controls the user's eyes as they're going through the blog section. I also wanted to use stronger typography and horizontal table contents. That horizontal table of content actually helps the post feel structured without turning the page into a cluttered documentation site, right? And the reason for this is I wanted to give the reader a quick map of what's inside. Then I added a CSS reading progress. Decided to add a CSS reading progress bar, and this is just a small detail, but it makes the blog feel more polished. Right. So yeah, it makes the blog feel more polished, and it fits the kind of content I want the studio to be able to publish, and that is the build logs, maybe some of the technical backgrounds or breakdowns, the project write-ups, something like a wiki, and obviously I wanted to share some of the learnings, some of the issues I faced, what I've learned from that, and to be honest, I did not just want to include random posts, but actual studio documentation. So from a technical side, the reading progress bar can be done. Where was I? Okay, so from the technical design, the reading progress bar can be done with CSS using scroll-driven behavior. Depending on the browser that you're using and the implementation approach. But the point is, it's not some massive engineering achievement. The point is to make the reading experience feel more intentional. And that matters, because if I want people to take the studio seriously, the content experience needs to feel serious too. And that's the idea, basically. Okay, so this is what the final version looks like now. The homepage has become the new studio's position. Then you get the text strip, which immediately shows the ecosystem. Then the site moves into the studio's focus areas, and you can see that the site is no longer trying to achieve everything all at once. It has a clear point of view now: creative technology, digital worlds, games, 3D tools, cloud deployment systems. Then the project section gives it a bit more structure. As I mentioned before, all work, studio projects, client work. Then the capability section explains what the studio actually does. Then the blog layout gives me a place to document the process properly. Okay, and for me that's important because the goal for this is not just to build quietly and disappear, but I want to build in public and actually show proof, not motivational quotes, no fake hype, proof, even if that means screenshots, build logs, breakdowns, shipped work. And for me that feels more intentional and gives the studio a bit more direction. And yeah, I think this new look and feel gives the studio that identity, that direction. The biggest lesson I got from this redesign is that websites are not only just about layout, they are about identity. And the old site was technically fine, but it was communicating the wrong stage of the journey. It said, I'm a developer with interests, and the new site says, this is a studio with direction, and that matters. The second lesson is that copywriting matters as much as design. Changing the headline to "We Build Digital Worlds" did more for the site than just changing colors ever could, because the words create the frame, the design supports the frame, the code delivers the frame, and all three of these components work together. The third lesson is that simple tech is enough when the direction is clear. For example, using the Angular standalone components, using signals, using SCSS, CSS variables, as well as not using any third-party UI libraries. For me, that was enough. I didn't need to overcomplicate the stack. I needed to make better decisions, and honestly, that's where I'm proud of this version, not because it's perfect. I mean, it's not. I can probably do some more work on this. But yeah, I can probably do some work on this. I mean, I even added a privacy policy page. I don't know. But yeah, I am proud of this version, and I believe that there are still things to improve. I can add more case study, better project pages, add more build logs, add more visuals, maybe even some more interaction sections later. But for now, this version finally feels like the foundation is right. It feels like the studio has a proper home now. So that's the full breakdown of the LWM Studios website redesign. Just a recap, it was rebuilt with Angular 21, deployed on Microsoft Azure, redesigned the visual direction, added the animated text strip, added project filters, capability section, proper editorial blogs layout, and most importantly, I repositioned the website from a personal portfolio energy to studio energy, and that's the real win for me. If you want to check out the final version, visit the LWM Studio. Okay. Anyway, if you want to check out the final version, visit the LWM Studios website. And if you're building your own studio site, portfolio, game dev, brand, or creative tech project, drop a comment and tell me what you are building. I actually want to see it. And please subscribe if you want more behind the scenes build logs like this. I'm Mkay from LWM Studios, and I'll see you on the next build, not the next video. Cheers.